Alright, what's going on, everybody? We're back on this JJK shit, and this video is going to be a little more in-depth than a lot of the videos I normally do. I reread the entire series again just for this one. So, if you like it, I put a whole bunch of work in. All I'm asking, a little like. Drop a little like on this, support your boy. But in all seriousness, moving forward, I'm going to keep trying to put out as much JJK stuff as I can. It seems like you guys really like that stuff, so if you're new to the channel, that's what's coming up. Feel free to sub, keep up with me. I'm going to be doing a lot more. I'm going to be a lot more active moving forward. So let's break this off. Today we're going over the JJK ending and how this is going to go. Horrifically bad to start. Okay, so this video started as why Gojo is going to be the final villain, but I got carried away, and now it's the end of JJK video. So that's where we're at right now. The first thing I have to say about this is that, well, we have to preface this by saying that JJK was inspired by two major series, being Bleach and Naruto. In this case, I think we can point to some of those things in the foreshadowing for the end of the series that the author Gege is actually included. One great example, or one great parallel, is that there's always these comparisons or reincarnations of great figures throughout Naruto. For example, the sages, the Sannin. Obviously, Naruto, Sakura, Sasuke are just, the new gen, if you will, of the original legendary Sannin. So, in this case, we have the three god tiers of the verse, representing certain aspects of power, being obviously Yuji for Sukuna, and we know this because it's confirmed Yuji will develop abilities similar to Sukuna. And as far as power, I mean, he's the MC. We know he's going to be overpowered by the end of this. Everything said and done, that man's going to be maxed out. Now, as far as the second god tier, we're looking at Maki, who is the new gen of Toji, the most powerful heavenly restricted person we've seen. Obviously, Toji's a god tier just based on raw physicality due to heavenly restriction, making it impossible for him to use cursed energy and cursed techniques. In exchange for that, he's a physical beast. So now the third one in this case is Yuta, and Yuta is just the new gen Gojo. A lot of people don't like hearing that, but Yuta having the ability to copy anything, on top of quote-unquote boundless cursed energy, on top of having Rika, on top of potentially being able to copy limitless, since it's stated that Yuta has no limits on what he can copy. Yuta's going to be clearly the strongest by the end of this. So I thought this was really interesting that they're kind of foreshadowing a similar, a similar situation to the three-way gridlock we see between the legendary Sannin, and that being passed down to the new gen being Team 7 and Naruto. So that's going to be very, very important later. So moving on, we're probably going to have to start right at the very, very end of the series. And what I think really kicks off the end of the series is Sukuna getting loose via his plan with Megami. And we know this plan we know this has to be his plan, to use Megami to get himself free. As originally, he didn't really care about reviving himself. He really didn't even care if Yuji's death caused his own death, until he thought through some sort of unknown abilities that he seems to know about and Megami does not. And he even goes so far as to make a contract with Yuji to have full control over him, but only for a small amount of time. And he's so desperate for this that he even goes so far as to bargain with Yuji, so much that he concedes not to harm anyone while he's in control of their body. Meaning he's likely going to use that small amount of time to have Megami revive him somehow. This isn't really something that we're gonna have to think on too hard. Sukuna really only does 2 or 3 things that we know of. He kills people, he laughs, and he works to revive himself. I don't think he wants to take over Yuji's body to kill anybody. He says as much. I don't know why he'd make a contract risking his life to laugh, so he's probably gonna revive himself. So easy math on that one. So from here, after Sukuna actually gets loose and is no longer restricted by Yuji's body, he's then going to force Kenjaku to release Gojo. Now, this is either because Kenjaku's afraid to fight Sukuna by himself without Gojo, or Sukuna basically physically forces him or kills Kenjaku and just releases Gojo himself. It's more likely that Kenjaku is just going to release Gojo when Sukuna demands it, as he likely understands he's definitely getting sparked if he says no to Sukuna, and Sukuna would just kill him and open it anyway. So with this, Gojo is unsealed, but as a villain, and a lot more powerful than what we remember. Now, in JJK, there's a common theme that shows your resolve and mindset deeply impact your cursed energy and abilities. This is exaggerated in Gojo's case, as we saw during his rematch with Toji when he became completely unhinged and as a result became not only much more powerful, but less heroic, less sympathetic, less reasonable. Overall, Gojo had become less human, and more so a force of nature. And when you're as powerful as Gojo, this is a force of nature that the protagonist in this case really just can't let go. So, now as far as why this happens, well, if you look back on the sealing of Gojo, we see some notable information about Prison Realm. First, time does not move in Prison Realm. If you were a perfectly healthy, well-adjusted, mentally stable person, if you were in this state to be isolated in a separate pocket dimension, absent of time, your sanity is in harm's way, to say the least, within the first few hours. And keep in mind, Gojo's been in here for at least a month. We know this due to currently outlawed and now unethical studies done on what extreme isolation and sensory deprivation does to the human psyche. This is also compounded by the fact that Prison Realm should act as the most extreme form of sensory deprivation, insofar as when time is not moving, these things that act as stimuli, sounds, feelings, smells, they would never reach you, because there's no time flowing to allow them to move to you and therefore move to the things that would allow you to sense them. And I'm sure most of you have also heard the horror stories of people staying in sensory deprivation chambers for too long. You can begin to break down in these circumstances within hours, and Gojo, again, has been in there for at least a month. And the icing on the shit cake is 6 eyes. The most harmful part of sensory deprivation is the sudden and prolonged change in sensory input. A person spends its entire life taking in stimuli 24/7, all day, every day, even when you're sleeping. To suddenly take that away and keep it away has nasty effects on the mind. But imagine, if you would, if you spent your entire life taking in thousands, if not millions of times more than the normal sensory input, the natural conclusion is that your reaction to the deprivation of that input would be amplified to the same degree. Gojo is currently experiencing the negative effects of sensory deprivation, but on a scale that is inconceivable to us, and has been for at least a month. Just as a side note, the author of JJK has said she hates Gojo, and I thought she was memeing around at first, but bro, you could have driven Gojo insane with this method in like an hour. Like, there was no need to do him this dirty. Oh my goodness. So, this is how Gojo becomes the final villain. Now, let's get this off rip. Sukuna is absolutely going to fight Gojo. And the reason I originally said he's going to force Kenjaku to release him is because there's a certain level of pride and a high level of pettiness with Sukuna. So Sukuna wants revenge on Gojo, and he should only know what Yuji knows about Gojo. As we saw, even though he has memories of his previous life, he doesn't know who Gojo is, and he wasn't able to identify 6 Eyes or Limitless, meaning that his knowledge would be equivalent to Yuji's knowledge, and Yuji should have no clue what Prison Realm did to Gojo. And to be fair, we've not seen Yuji in a situation where he could have observed Gojo's full power. So as far as Sukuna is aware, I mean, he has a domain expansion that he used for like 0.1 seconds on Jogo. On top of that, to be honest, Sukuna didn't really have a prayer of beating Gojo, originally before this Prison Realm. I'm just saying. Now, since Gojo is definitely just going to be this force of nature now, and sort of as they called Toji, a puppet of carnage. His mind is gone, and he's even stronger than he was before. He's likely just on a killing spree. So now the responsibility of stopping this force of nature that is Gojo kind of falls on the new gen god tiers. Again, that's going to be Yuta, Yuji, and Maki. I also believe that Megami, of course, and Nobara will also be participating in this fight. Since these are the end of series versions of our heroes, they're obviously going to be stronger than what we're seeing now. They're basically walking into this fight. Think of it like an RPG. They're walking into this fight at level 100, right? However, this is raid boss final villain Gojo. Like, this man's got those question marks where his level should be. So, as far as how this fight goes, they're going to go ahead and jump this man good and proper. They don't really get a choice. So, Yuta is going to be doing most of the heavy lifting as the clear powerhouse. On top of being stronger than the rest of our protagonists, he's also likely to just copy Limitless and have the best defense to Gojo's abilities. That being said, Gojo's still rocking those question marks on his level, maxed out stats, so Yuta can't win this fight by himself. No way. Now, Megami begins using his domain expansion to get guaranteed hits on Gojo, begins taxing his passive regen, and attempts to make him lose his focus. Maki begins using her normal curse tools to bypass Gojo's barrier, as she has access to even more curse tools than Toji did, including the inverted Spear of Heaven, which obviously would get through his barrier. And abusing her superior speed and power allow her to semi-safely light Gojo in similar fashion to Toji. With these three physically and mentally wobbling Gojo, Yuji and Nobara carefully pick out openings to attack Gojo in the one way he can't really recover from. So they're going to begin attacking his soul with Resonance, Black Flash, and the max variant of Divergent Fist. Now, the attacks on Gojo's soul allow him to understand he's in danger even in this puppet of carnage state. On instinct, he's going to understand his life is in danger, and he's going to start taking drastic measures as a result. Gojo will be doing his best Beerus impression and begins unleashing hollow purple orbs in all directions. Yuta doesn't have much trouble defending himself with his ridiculous power and copied Limitless abilities. Maki and Yuji are plenty fast enough to react to these orbs in most cases, but the same is not true for Nobara. But the relationship and respect Megami seems to have for Maki causes him to sacrifice himself to one of these hollow purple orbs, effectively being erased from existence and saving Maki's life. In similar fashion, Yuji is racked with immense guilt for letting Nobara almost die to Mahito. This compels him to use his speed to save Nobara from the orbs as well. However, he is likely injured by one of these orbs, and a part of his body is now erased, nerfing him for the rest of this fight. Now, our four remaining pro tags now understand that this fight's got to be ended immediately if they're gonna stop, raid boss Gojo from giving the rest of the world the Megami treatment. Now, from here, Yuta, Yuji, and Nobara have been fighting hard, and they understand their next attempt is their last chance to stop him. Maki has also been fighting hard, but all she understands in this moment is that the only Zenin clan member that treated her as an equal with any amount of respect, treated her as if she was worthy of the status she always wanted, was just erased from reality, beyond dead. And the person who did it is within arm's length. So, Maki's going to fly into a rage, unlike anything we've seen in the series, briefly putting Gojo against the ropes, taking advantage again of her superior speed, curse nullification tools, pushing Gojo's attention, and likely his physical regeneration back to their limits. Yuta's going to join in. He's going to fight as well to support Maki, being the strongest one there. And together they're going to hold Gojo back long enough for Nobara and Yuji to coordinate their final attack. So, in this case, they're going to use Resonance. And for those of you that don't know, Resonance is a technique that seems to be an absolute transfer of damage to both soul and body, as seen in Nobara's fight with Mahito. Yuji convinces Nobara to use her resonance on him, basically making Yuji the voodoo doll, and obviously Gojo the target. So, obviously, Nobara is reluctant at first due to her friendship with Yuji, but he puts her mind at ease by telling her that this is the death he wanted from the beginning, alluding back to the first chapter of JJK, in which he saw how miserable his grandfather was, because he was dying a lowly death with no loved ones around that care about him. Now, from here, Yuji and Nobara see Gojo overpower both Yuta and Maki after a bit. They also feel Gojo preparing an ungodly amount of cursed energy, as he forms a spirit bomb-sized hollow purple ball. Now, our pro-tags collectively understand that there is no point in dodging this. It's going to wipe the planet if this thing hits. Gojo, being in his Puppet of Carnage mode, or whatever you want to call it, throws this hollow purple spirit bomb at Maki and Yuta, barely affording them the time to accept their fate, and barely enough time to notice Yuji has appeared in front of them to take the blast. And he uses himself to shield Maki and Yuta. Yuji intentionally takes the brunt of Gojo's attack. His body and soul are erased, along with Gojo, due to resonance. With Gojo gone, the hollow spirit bomb dissipates, and the three surviving pro-tags realize that the fight is over, and that they have won. However, they can't celebrate. Maki cannot celebrate the death of Megumi, Yuta cannot celebrate the death of Gojo, Nobara cannot celebrate the death of Yuji. All of them simply resolve to honor their sacrifices the best they can for the rest of their lives, and to try to prevent these kinds of events from happening in the future. Now, we're not done. No. No, we're not done with this one yet. So, from here, we get sort of an epilogue. We're going to move forward in time and see that Yuta has taken the place of Gojo, becoming a teacher, taking on a much more confident and lighthearted demeanor due to his respect for Gojo's teaching style, and his own personal growth as a character. And, of course, his status as now being the most powerful thing in existence probably helps that as well. And Yuta becoming a teacher essentially ensures that cursed users have a place to learn and be welcomed in times that are similar to his when he needed a Gojo or a welcoming Jujutsu High. Maki has taken the place of Megumi, and of the elders, she's not only the head of the Zenin clan now, she's also the head of the Jujutsu sorcery world. Her goal now being to keep power-hungry clans and individuals in check, so as to avoid disasters such as the Shibuya incident and Zenin clan massacre. The power she demonstrated in the Zenin clan massacre earns her the respect and cooperation of even those who are opposed to her new ideas, which in turn allows her to accomplish more than any previous leader in Jujutsu history, due to her often overlooked intelligence, experience, and generally noble intentions, proving that she was more than qualified to be the head of the Zenin family. Now, Nobara. So, as far as being the final surviving member of the original Tritagonist team, Nobara having no doubt that the Jujutsu world would be well taken care of by Yuta and Maki, understandably leaves the Jujutsu world behind to pursue a simple civilian life. She begins a family and has an extremely successful career as a model, only doing shoots and appearances when she feels like it, wearing her scars from her sorcerer days proudly and confidently, standing out from the intentionally frail appearing models and appealing to those who feel insecure about their differences. Now, this sounds oddly specific, but I do want to take a moment to say I actually came to this conclusion because it's sort of a callback to the statements from Nobara's early appearances, in which she harasses a photographer about using her as a model, and even proclaims during her fights that she can be both pretty and powerful. There seems to be a pretty clear goal and desired career path here. But anyway, the final panels we see of Jujutsu Kaisen are of Nobara far into the future, on her deathbed, surrounded by the family and friends she's taken care of, as well as older versions of Yuta and Maki. Nobara keeps the room full of joy and laughter. She expresses her appreciation to her loved ones for being there in her final moments. She demands that they not grieve too long, as she's gotten everything she's wanted in life, and even got the death she wanted. Everyone in the room is both comforted and confused. Everyone except Maki and Yuta. Nobara happily slips into unconsciousness one last time, using her dying moments to reminisce about the first day she was with Yuji, Megami, and Gojo. Alright, guys, that was a super in depth, over the top conspiracy theory about how Jujutsu Kaisen's gonna end. I hope you guys liked that one. That one took a little bit of extra work to get out, but I love to do these little theories and kind of take guesses, I guess, at how this stuff's gonna go. So let me know what you guys think. I actually do really like doing these kinds of videos. So, if you did like it, feel free to let me know. I'll do it more. Pinky swear. Peace out.